Sorry, cat, did I scare you? Oh boy. So today we're going to talk about Poshmark again. If you hear a lot of... Don't swat at me, son. If you hear a lot of purring on audio, I'm sorry, there's a cat here and he's very happy. I don't know what you want me to do. I've done a whole video on Poshmark, sharing some of my favorite finds, talking about how to shop Poshmark in Canada, but there was a frontier that I had not yet been able to conquer? Do you conquer frontier? Anyway, we're going to talk about shopping Poshmark US from Canada. For the uninitiated, Poshmark is a resale site where people buy and sell used clothing. I'm a big fan of Poshmark Canada, found a lot of great stuff on there. The problem with shopping Poshmark Canada is that it's limited to Canadians, so Canadian buyers shopping from Canadian sellers. That's great for a lot of reasons. It keeps shipping costs down, I'm sure. It makes shipping faster. All the transactions are in Canadian dollars. You don't have to worry about the exchange rate. Here's one issue. Let's, for example, let's search something like J. Crew Extra Large on Poshmark Canada. Okay, now let's search J. Crew Extra Large on Poshmark US. You see what I'm saying? For the uninitiated, Canada has like the population of Michigan in a landmass the size of Russia. So your options are naturally going to be limited. And if there's something specific that you want, it's far more likely that it's going to be on American Poshmark than Canadian Poshmark. The problem is that Poshmark really keeps those two spheres very, very separate. Even when you're on the app, you have to toggle manually between Poshmark Canada and Poshmark US. They sort of leave it open to you, like they say, if you are in Canada and you want to buy off Poshmark in the States, great, but you're on your own. There is no integrated way on the app or in the site for a Canadian to buy from the States. They keep those things separate, I presume because it would just be messier to have to deal with things like duties, cross-border shipping. Poshmark keeps everything really streamlined in terms of shipping. It's basically a flat fee for everything, which is kind of great in a lot of ways. But if they had to introduce cross-border shipping, it just wouldn't be one chunk of money anymore. They'd have to introduce two tiers. They'd probably factor duties into the situation. So I kind of get why they're being so sort of church and state about it, but it doesn't really leave us frustrated Canadians with a whole lot of options. Unless, of course, you come up with some workarounds. I was able to buy a whole bunch of stuff on Poshmark. I'm actually wearing a lot of it now. But if you wanted to do that, here's what you have to do. One, you have to create a new account that is just dedicated to American Poshmark. I actually tried switching my old account to a US one by putting in a US shipping address, but it actually grayed out the option where you could change the country. So once an account is created for Canada, from what I can tell, it's locked into Canada. So you have to create a second account with a US shipping address that is just for US Poshmark. You also need to hook up a payment account to your new account, and it can't be your same PayPal account from the Canadian one. I learned this the hard way. I actually assumed I could just use my same PayPal for both, but Poshmark was actually like, this PayPal account is associated with a different account and therefore you can't use it. So I actually had to email tech support for Poshmark and be like, hey, take my PayPal off this account because I want to use it on a different account. And they were like, sure, no problem. A quicker workaround was actually just use Google Pay, because I guess I hadn't used my Google Pay account for anything. So I put my Google Pay account on my US Poshmark account. Worked fine. And the third step of this equation is that you need a US shipping address to send your package to. And this is non-negotiable. You can't slide in a Canadian mailing address. My usual workaround for cross-border shipping is to send stuff to a pickup address in Detroit because my family lives on the border. The problem is that I don't know if you heard about this thing called the coronavirus, but nobody's crossing the border unless you absolutely have to for work, and I don't meet that description. I decided, since I was pretty interested in buying a bunch of stuff off US Poshmark and also Depop, eBay, some other places, I decided to go for a forwarding address. I used Ship-It-To, not Spawn. They basically have a bunch of tiered options. You can either use the free account, which is what I did, where you sort of pay as you go on packages you receive, or you can pay for a more premium account and basically they'll sort of waive the cost of different things. So they have locations in a bunch of different states. Some of them offer quicker shipping, some of them offer lower taxes. Basically they give you an address with like a little suite number that sort of denotes like your mailbox, and so they can consolidate all of your packages for you, put them all in the same box, and ship it across the border. So that's what I did. I bought, I want to say like 8 different things off of Poshmark, Depop, eBay, Etsy, some different places. I had them all sort of collect it for me over the course of maybe a month and a half. And then once I decided I had done enough damage to my wallet, I decided to get it all shipped over. So I think I requested the shipping mid-December and it showed up actually on Christmas Eve, which is pretty quick. Basically, when I went to get everything forwarded, they gave me the option of whether I wanted to get stuff taken out of the package and put in a different box, or whether I should just ship it all individually or a mix of all 3. So I decided to get them to consolidate everything into one box to save on postage. But there's also a charge associated with that, so it's kind of moot, I think, in some cases as to whether or not you're actually saving money, because even though you're saving on the postage, you're still paying them like $5 per package or something to save everything, right? Basically, when I requested the consolidation, they asked me for $40 US. And I was like, okay, I'll give you $40. And that would sort of count toward the cost of shipping everything as well as the packaging. And then once they did all of the packaging consolidation, they sent me lots of photos of everything that was inside just to make sure that everything was like as it should be and everything was what I'd received. They sent me another alert that said, okay, your package is ready to go, but you still owe us $87 US. And I was like, okay, $87, here you go. Then I got a COD from Canada Post that said I owed $38 of duty, because Ship It To makes you itemize the value of every item so that the border control will know how much they need to charge you, if at all. So $120 US. Converted to Canadian, it's gonna be about $150. And then they wanted me to pay $40 on top of that. So even though I might have gotten some real deal skis, it's an extra $200 to send all these things. Granted, this was $200 amortized out over the cost of 8 different items. So you could argue that it was still kind of worth it. I think that the sort of distinction comes down to whether or not, is this a better deal than something you would get in Canada versus is this available to you at all as a Canadian? Certain things would not have been. Like Poshmark. There was no option for me to buy this stuff that I wanted off Poshmark other than getting a forwarding address. If it was something that I could have gotten mailed to me in Canada and it would have just maybe been 15 or 20 bucks more, you might just want to consider doing that, because basically it's not going to save you any cash doing it the other way around. But I'll show you what I got. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Basically, I filmed an unboxing part of this video and the light went from bad to worse to even worse than that. So I figured, if I gotta film it all again, I may as well get a second video out of it. So the full try-on haul is gonna be a part 2 coming next week. Maybe subscribe so you don't miss it. But in the meantime, I really hope you guys like this. Take care. I'll see you guys then.